Alright, let's put the music on. Hopefully you guys can hear that, or it does not overpower the video. What's up, guys? This is Jay Dennis, and today, I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Today we're going to talk about a special album that just turned 2 years old today. Linkin Park's One More Light album came out May 19th of 2017, and what I'm going to do today is a 2-year retrospective on it. How has this album aged, and what is the impact that it still has on you as a listener, on me as a listener? If anything I say with you resonates or makes sense, leave a comment below, like the video, subscribe. This channel is all things me and my opinions on music and everything that I'm doing, my podcast, so make sure you get on top of that. So, 2017. Let's talk about the obvious thing first. This album still has a very emotional, by the way, I listened to this thing from start to finish today, and it's still relatively fresh in my head. It's got 10 tracks and is 35 minutes long, so even no matter what you think of like the music itself, for a Linkin Park album it leaves more to be desired because it's only 10 songs that are all pretty short, and it's only 35 minutes. If you love Linkin Park like me, you kind of want more to come out of it. But all that to say, this is a hard album to listen to still, but it still flows from start to finish pretty damn seamlessly. And when it first came out, it experienced a lot of backlash. And this album wasn't even out for like 6 or 7 weeks until, before Chester Bennington took his own life. And when that happened, it made this album a lot more potent and powerful, which sucks because it shouldn't take a suicide or a death or something sad or tragic to appreciate a beautiful album like this. So when I re-listened to this back in 2017, right after his death, the album had a whole new meaning for me. Because initially I wasn't a huge fan of this album. I'm going to be 28 here in a couple weeks, and when you grow up during the turn of the century listening to these bad boys right here, what many would deem the golden years of Linkin Park, their new metal material, which, by the way, quick side note, the way Reanimation is a remix album of Hybrid Theory, I really, really wish they had done the same thing with Meteora. I wish they had made a Reanimation for Meteora. They only did this with Hybrid Theory and with, what's that album called? Living Things? But the reason why there was even any backlash, especially on my end, was because in 2014, when they put out this bad boy, The Hunting Party, everybody's like, oh, Linkin Park's returning the form, they're heavy side. So, when One More Light came out, I have every single physical copy of Linkin Park albums except for Thousand Suns, Minutes to Midnight, and Living Things. So, I have roughly over half their albums. But after The Hunting Party came out, One More Light comes out, they're basically all poppy now. The song Heavy, which, you listen to that song lyrically, it really, really just puts things into perspective and makes you realize, holy shit, Chester was, hindsight's 20/20, But I'm kind of sharing the backstory of how I went from not caring for the album, even though deep down I could always find some sort of beauty in it because Chester's voice, Linkin Park, they seem to do every genre pretty great. And in my opinion, since they did the whole new metal, turn of the century, new metal and alternative sound from, you know, the late 90s to 2003. I've always thought that they kind of just, they were always kind of like on the trend, you know? You know, a lot of rock and alternative and metal bands, early mid to late 2010s started doing the whole pop thing. So I could be wrong. That could have just been Linkin Park's natural progression, but it seems like coincidental that they always seem to be on whatever was trendy. And again, while I was critical of the album at first, things got put into perspective and I ended up finding the beauty in it. The songs that I always enjoyed were Invisible, Sorry for Now, even if I didn't like those weird vocal effects, but I always liked the song Sorry for Now. I thought Mike's voice sounded really damn good in this album, and Chester's kind of like boy band pop verse, and Sorry for Now has always been really fun to me. And then Heavy's a great song too. You know, when Mike Shinoda put up the whole hashtag Heavy LP, this was like in, I think, April of 2017, everybody thought, oh my god, Linkin Park is going to go back to like the new metal sound, oh my god. And then they blindside us with this, you know, really emotional pop song. But for what it's worth, it's an amazing song. And it's an amazing album too. So after 2 years, I still have a hard time listening to this album because of the emotion. I didn't know Chester Bennington personally, but, you know, Hybrid Theory was my first metal album. This album was a game changer to me, and I still listen to it with I still get goosebumps listening to this album. And then a couple years later, I got this album for Christmas, and I love the remixes in this. And then same thing with Meteora. You know, I got it, listened to it in 8th grade while it was still relatively new, and Linkin Park's always been a huge band to me. So even if I had a hard time enjoying this album, I still found some beauty in it, and then despite tragedy, the album became a lot more potent and powerful to me. But frankly, this part. And Sorry for Now, I just could not get past that. But now I can look past it and say that holy damn, this is a great song. But if you were to take away anything from this video, it's that sometimes tragedy, again, I didn't know him personally, but I've always looked up to him as a vocal idol, as a powerful frontman. I'm blessed that my then girlfriend, now wife, took me to see them in 2015 while they were touring this album, even though their set list had pretty much all their amazing songs. So I can say that I got to see him live and experience them and him. I didn't know him personally, but he had a huge impact on my life, and I was really upset for a while after he died. And then listening to songs like One More Light or Sharp Edges and Heavy, and even the intro track, No One Can Save Me Now, Nobody Can Save Me, it really shows you where his head might have been at. And I think everything that happened made me a more empathetic and less critical person. Like, I'll still kind of shit on lousy music trends and say that the 2010s have been one of the worst decades for music in terms of like pop music and everything else, and like hip hop and everything. And while I've never attacked Linkin Park or attacked artists that I've loved, I may have been a little critical at times. So I've kind of softened up and kind of watched my words a little bit. So I'm still going to speak my mind and be honest and everything. That's why I'm making this video. But yeah, in the past 2 years, no, I have not listened to this album a lot. I've only listened to it like 2 or 3 times because it's a difficult album to listen to. But I listened to it today pretty damn easily. I was folding laundry and kind of just taking it in. I'm like, these are great songs. Chester's voice is beautiful. Mike Shinoda's voice is awesome. And the music is great. Like, it's not a bad album. It's just because it has the band name Linkin Park on it, and a lot of people still associate Linkin Park with new metal, which guys, straight up, if you're gonna do these 3 albums and then come back in 2014 with this guy, And even Minutes to Midnight wasn't that not heavy, but it was, you know, alternative rock, not new metal. That's the foundation. That's where you're at your most successful, and you've clearly found more success over the years by reaching a larger audience, by expanding into different genres and everything, and that's fine. So, I don't necessarily regret any of my criticisms or anything, but I became a lot more open to an album like this, and I still think it's a beautiful album. I still think the songs are great. It's just I still find it a little difficult to listen to, because it's like Chester at his most vulnerable and his most potent, and the fact that this album was only out for 6 or 7 weeks until he died. So it's difficult. So I think overall this album is going to be very timeless, and it's obviously going to be Linkin Park's one of their most powerful albums. And I can only imagine what the band is going through and what they did go through. So 2 years later, One More Light is still an amazing album. And I hope that what I'm sharing about like kind of gaining perspective and understanding where the album came from and why it came out and why it sounded the way it sounded and why it fits in perfectly with Linkin Park's discography and how it's actually going to be a very powerful legacy for Chester Bennington, along with all these other albums that I've shown you. It's hard to talk about, but it adds to the perfection that is Linkin Park. Even if you can't say that all their albums are perfect 10s out of 10s, I can personally find value, even in the physical albums that I don't own. I can find value in Minutes to Midnight, 1,000 Suns, and Living Things. All those albums had some sort of impact on me, along with these. So, my name's Jay Dennis. Linkin Park is still one of my all-time favorite bands. I'm still more likely to listen to the new metal music because that's more my style, but I still find a lot of value in One More Light. And if you haven't listened to it yet, it's 2 years old now, but it's still a very powerful album. It's probably gonna, last a lifetime. And if I were to suggest starting with any song, I would probably say, Good Goodbye. If you want a more alternative rock sound, Talking to Myself. I love Invisible. Heavy's a great song. If you want something a little softer, the last 2 tracks are powerful. One More Light and Sharp Edges, beautiful songs. So, overall, still enjoy the album. Thank you guys for watching this video. Again, please subscribe, like the video, leave a comment what your thoughts are on this album, and check the description for how to own and download the Sabotaged EP. The song Riot Starter was heavily inspired by their first couple of albums. So Linkin Park has had a huge impact on my life. And thank you guys for watching me express myself. Weird flex, but okay. So much talking.